Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime with Shannon, where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, this is going to be part 2 of the testimony of Al Stauch, and I'm also going to cover the cross-examination on this particular video, so we can get everything caught up to that, and then my hopes are to put the remainder of the first week of the trial on the next video, and then next week we'll probably compile it into 2 or 3 different videos. So let's get going, and again, we always are going to start with Sweet Gannon's face, because it is always about him. It's about justice for Gannon. Gannon strong. Alright, these are coming from going through the transcript. This is off of Reddit. I don't know if that's who did the initial, and I'm assuming so. So I want to thank the Reddit Gannon Stauch Reddit page. It looks like Sun Tzu looks like one of the mods is the one who's compiling these notes, and major appreciation to them to make sure that we're getting to have these notes regarding the trial. So we're on day 3. Now, there was a question from the jurors to the judge before Al got back on the stand, stating that they have observed the defendant mouthing occasional words or physical gestures like agreeing or disagreeing, and they asked the judge if they should ignore the behavior, and the judge is saying they don't have to answer right away, but he's inclined to tell them to ignore everything but the witness stand. So I guess that was something that was brought up, and a lot of us have seen the way she behaves. She's definitely, in my opinion, she's not very respectful on the stand at all. Alright, so prosecution is picking back up with Al Stauch and the phone calls that he made to the defendant with the FBI. Now, they can't hear well. It is very difficult to hear these calls. And again, I know I said it a couple times in the last video. This is a big deal that these notes were made out of it, because they are difficult to go through and transcribe. She states, I can't hear well, but someone's saying something for the record. GPS data from a budget rental van, AT&T records, and they were stipulated by both parties. Also, Verizon records and Verizon phones, American Express. Judge says they're stipulating the records, custodian type issues, and they need to lay a foundation. We'll take up this issue as we get to the exhibits. So now we are back to the audio recording, February 14th, 2020, in the morning. Al asks her what's wrong. She says she's tired of crying. He says, well, happy Valentine's Day. She asks about Lana. He asks her why I can't ask you where our kids are at. Harley had to go to the doctor last night because she had chest pains. She won't tell him because she doesn't want anyone listening to know where they are at. She's mad, saying he talks crap about her. You know, anytime you've needed help, I've been there for you. She's crying. Al says you took over $2,000 out of the bank account at the beginning of the month, and I didn't say anything. That's 1/3 of his monthly income. He's never told her no for anything. He's offered safety and help. I didn't take $2,000, it was $1,500. She's angry about other people being in his home. She's upset they had to Uber. You know how bad it is for me to ask somebody to drive their car to the store? She starts sobbing. She's angry he's not on her side. Yeah. Letecia, it's not about you. Al says she needs to understand what he's going through. Al, all he's focused on is Gannon. He says he doesn't know why people on social media are not happy with her, but he's trying to respect her and wants her to respect him too. Al says she released documents. One of the most important things in his life is her respecting him, and she can respect him with the truth. He says there are options to work through things together. She asks what options, and he says the options don't come into play until he gets the truth. He's drawing a line in the sand. She accuses him of taking her off of his car insurance. 2 of his vehicles were deleted from the car insurance without her knowledge, and she's the only other person who could have done it. She's mad that he has her listed as, quote, ex-spouse, and she can't add herself back. He says there is a gap between them, and that's where they're at right now. There's nothing until they get to the truth. Deep down in his heart, he knows they can work on it together. I think your list you sent me is a great starting place. She asked if he filed for divorce. He says not yet. She says she doesn't trust him or have respect for him, and that she has someone watching him. She says it's all online on social media. He says he hasn't told anyone anything about that. She says she told them exactly that Gannon left with someone. Letecia asks why Al wouldn't talk to her after she picked him up from the airport. He wasn't getting the truth. He tells her that he's been looking into things on his own, and there are things that just weren't making sense and adding up. He thanks Elle for talking with him for so long in the previous call and giving him her timeline, but there are still multiple stories. There are red flags. He needs to be convinced. I need you to be here with me, supportive. She is angry. I'm begging you, if they give me immunity, I will help. I can get in trouble for it. And she's crying more. Yeah, this is where she starts her constant, I need immunity, I need immunity. Why would you need immunity if you didn't do anything wrong? So obviously, she's done something wrong. Al tells her he doesn't have any legal knowledge and she needs to help him understand what she means by immunity. He only knows it from TV. He wants Elle to help him get her immunity. She says it means that a judge says she will not be charged with anything in the case, and in return she will give them the information on who has Gannon and she will testify against them. Al asks if she knows how someone took Gannon and who has him. Elle says not to put words in her mouth. She accuses him of recording her. Why would I say Happy Valentine's Day on a phone call? That's something personal between us. Elle is yelling that she needs immunity and can give him more details about what happened to Gannon. Al doesn't see why she wouldn't just tell him from the beginning. She's yelling, they were going to kill my daughter, they were going to kill me. She is hysterical. I don't even think Al can understand her at this point. Yeah, if he can understand her, it's really hard to understand the recordings for sure. I need immunity, please. Are you recording me? Al asks why Elle's first thought is what they may do to her and Harley, but something has already been done to Gannon and she's not worried about that. She yells Lana was there too. The guy was still there when the police searched the home. Al says he will try to reach out to the agents. She tells him not to reach out to Bethel. They treat her like a criminal. I'm not a criminal. I don't kill people. Yelling more and more hysteria. Yeah. She is very hysterical on these calls, for sure. She says she got a message yesterday, but she needs immunity before she shows anyone. The amount of times she asks for immunity is just mind-blowing. You can hear whispering to Al on the recording. Al is asking who the person was. He asks if he's there with her. I can't understand her hysterical screaming. She says something about a reward for Gannon, but other than that, it's just a high-pitched noise. Crying, she keeps crying. What can I do? He says he needs to know if Gannon is safe. More screaming. Immunity, because people are going to say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Al asks if she could tell him something small he can anonymously call into the tip line. She's screaming at him not to. Talking about a reward again. Al, what is it about the money that's the key? And she's continually crying. Al tells her he doesn't want anything to do with the media, Facebook, or social media. He was in the house? I didn't know at the time. I thought they were going to find the guy. She was terrified, which is why she sent Lana and Harley to the dollar store, and she thought Gannon was hiding too. Al said that's huge and helpful. I'm not making this up. She doesn't want to say anything else. They'll try to incriminate me for this. I need immunity. Letecia's crying and telling another story about not knowing where Gannon was. Al asks when she figured out he wasn't by himself. She won't talk until she gets immunity. Yeah, what innocent person talks like this? Obviously, she's done something, and Al has picked up on this way by now. Elle says she was scared she couldn't leave a note, and I didn't know they went out the back door. Bad guy was there 4 hours, she realized, and now she's just crying and screaming. Letecia says she thought he was safe, more crying. Al asks if he could have crawled into a tote or a box. Letecia is crying. She says she put Harley and Lana in the master bedroom. Al is asking about the gun she was using because she says the guy had his gun, but she says she couldn't get a gun to work. Now she's yelling at Al. You can call in and get immunity. More yelling. He lied about his name and tried to get the bike. Al says if she gives him the name of the person, he can fix it right now. She cries more about immunity. Al asks if it was Travis because she said he was abusive. They're going to try to incriminate me. Al says, I will fight with you. Fight for you. Who is listening to me? Letecia asks. I hear somebody. Where is everybody else at? Uncle Jeff is getting on a plane. Landon and Veronica went somewhere and to get Lana. Screaming at the top of her lungs, Al asks, what kind of gang are they in? Letecia doesn't know. More screaming. Yeah, I don't know how Al can understand her either. It's a lot. He asks if the guy hurt or killed Gannon in a house. She says she wants immunity and he doesn't trust her. I don't know if anyone killed anyone. She hangs up on Al. Oh, all right, she's hung up, he says, also recorded. All right, part 6 of the calls on day 3. Al is back on the stand. Al isn't sure the day of the call. He didn't know where Harley was during the call. Al thinks that Tisha met the man that was there when the cops first arrived at the home after Gannon was reported missing, and no man was ever found. Letecia never gave any names or identifying features of the man of the call. Also mentioned a gang, but never said what gang. Some of the crying in the call seems real to him, some of it fake. Travis was T's ex-boyfriend. Chance was Harley's father and T's ex-husband. He's since passed away. And also there was she's mentioned the family's dog was named Chance. Yeah, that's true. I believe he said that too. Good catch. Al has no knowledge of any gang targeting his family. Letecia didn't change personalities or voices during that entire phone call, according to Al. All right, then we're on to Exhibit 37, which is the recorded phone call on February 14th, 2020, in the afternoon. Bad signal on the call. Al is upset because T hung up on him earlier. She is angry. You were being all nice, caring, listening, everything, and all of a sudden you started being hateful. She is mad at him for saying she made it up and saying she has information. He says it's up to her to choose which one it is. Start over and tell me who the F has my boy. Yeah, then we get into some language here. He doesn't care about anything else. Who has Gannon? Tisha says, then I want immunity. Al is angry. The patience is gone. For the rest of my life, no matter what happens, I'm going to blame myself for this because I wasn't there. I was trying to be successful in my career. I just wasn't there, says Al. He assures her that no one is to blame for the foot and the candle, and maybe she just panicked. Maybe Gannon took too much medicine or hit his head or had a nosebleed, but they're accidents, and because he wasn't there to keep it all together, she panicked, and then from there he can't figure out what happened. Al says there was absolutely no guy there, but he knows why that would be on her mind. Accidents happen, but we can't replace our children, he says. I was there, Albert. I give you his name, I swear. This was why I want immunity. She says the whole thing happened. The cops were there, yada, yada, yada. She truly thought Gannon was going out every day and talking to someone. She was followed after trying to get a bike for Al, which is why she was looking out the door at Petco. Al tries to ask her a question, and T gets upset at him for jumping in there. Tisha tries to make turns around Palmer Lake area, which is where they're searching, because I'm sure they got my GPS, searching for nothing. Letecia says, well, this dude is in your truck with us. Then this call drops. Okay, Al Stauch is back on the stand. Letecia never gave the name of the anonymous dude. The phone call was consistent with her personality. She never changed her personality or talked with any inflections. They continually asked Al this, obviously due to the insanity plea that she has. And so he's like, nope, this is her. No changes. There's no other person in there. It is just Letecia, period. Al has been trying to get Letecia to feel comfortable to talk. All right, and then we have Exhibit 38, which is February 14th, 2020, 12:17 p.m. This is about a 21-minute call. Tisha says she asked them to get the footage outside of Petco, not inside. When she was pulling off to go to Palmer Lake to look at the bike, someone was laying down on the road, and when she turned around, the guy got into the truck with them. Gannon was crying in the back seat and was so upset that he threw up. The man was in the car with them the entire ride back and got out of the truck with them at the house. She is talking about the surveillance footage of them getting out. Letecia says there was a struggle, but she said he could take anything he wanted. The man started asking about Uncle Matt, and she was freaked out because he had a gun, and when the police came, she didn't know where Gannon was. What if I leave to go get help and he's in here? Letecia says her hands were tied to a board where when the girls were in the bedroom sleeping. All she could hear was Gannon screaming. Al asks why she would need immunity when the man was the perpetrator, not her. 'Cause I didn't tell them. I don't know how bad he hurt Gannon. This is, of course, Letecia. He was Mexican or mixed with black, dark, and 5'7". Al says the truck doors would be locked when she's driving, and he is getting more frustrated with her. He wants to know why she panicked. She needs immunity. Yeah, major pattern. She says she left her phone on the counter at Petco, and then says it was Gannon's phone that was left at Petco. Yeah, she went back and forth on that one too. Al, no, what I keep doing is not letting you get me with bullshit. Tisha says, really? Al says, really? Tells her that she can smirk and roll her eyes all she wants. Maybe it's a video call. I just think he knows her really well. She is yelling at him and saying he doesn't care about stuff. He says he cares about her and their relationship. He says he blames the people pursuing her for the different stories, for forcing her to say something. If you have any faith or respect in me, the truth is easier. Al, who tied you up? Who hurt Gannon? Who wants the money? Who hurt you? Who is he? Who are they? Tisha says they're going to kill her. She's crying. Quincy Brown. Al, Quincy Brown. So Quincy Brown is the one who has him. Tisha is just sobbing inaudibly. Al asks what he was driving when he was following her. She tells him a red car. Al says he thought the name was Eduardo, but she found out his name was Quincy Brown. Yeah, we went from Eduardo to Quincy Brown. He asks how bad Gannon was hurt and how he hurt Gannon. I hear whispering on the call while Tisha cries. When I came out, Gannon was gone. I could hear screaming. I couldn't do anything. I hear more whispering while she's crying. Yeah, you could hear sometimes the agents in the background, but of course, she's crying and screaming so much, she's had no idea. There was a name Quincy Brown on an ID while he was moving boxes, which she thought he was going to use to rob them. He had baggy pants, and something in his pocket said his name and had his picture. He tied up Tisha in the storage room after the police left that night and was still in the house. We have more yelling and crying. Yeah, it's hard to make out. Al is angry at her at this point, giving ridiculous versions back to her. Gannon was high-fiving the guy. I can just hear his desperation. Tisha yells, I have my life on the line. Go get your effing immunity, Al says. I want my son back. Yeah, she cares only about herself. She doesn't care about, obviously, she doesn't care about Al, and she doesn't care about Gannon whatsoever. Al asks at what point she called the police with the man in the house. Yelling back and forth at each other, she says he's being a smartass. He says he is because it's BS. I can't understand her, but she's still talking about immunity. Al says, I know enough about immunity to know you're not going to get it if you keep lying about this Quincy guy. There's no Quincy Brown. There's no Eduardo. There's no Uncle Matt. You want us to be a family and all this intimate and blah, 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 but you keep effing lying to me. 5 years of lying and now my son's gone. Where is Gannon? And she goes, with Quincy. Al says a 5'7" Mexican man that changed his name to Quincy Brown that works for the home developer. Yeah, I'll tell them all that. Yeah, obviously he doesn't believe a word of it, and yeah, because it's complete BS. All right, now we're up to part 7. Al is back on the stand. Al doesn't recall any vomit or smell in the truck when he got back from Oklahoma. That phone call was the first time Al had heard the name of Quincy Brown. He doesn't know anyone by that name. She just has one personality, her normal one, during that call. So again, that's just normal Tisha. Then we're on to Exhibit 39, which is February 14th, 2020, later in the night. Another call, which is about 18 minutes long. Al asks Tisha if she's ready to talk to him. Where's Gannon, Tisha? Don't tell me effing Quincy Brown. Tell me where Gannon is. Letecia says, he took him. Al asks, where did you take Gannon? Where is Gannon? Tisha says, what is wrong with you? You think you can be this interrogator all you want. Al says she is his wife and he's trying to talk to her. You're trying to put me 6 feet under is what you're trying to do. Yeah, when she said that, I thought that was highly ironic. Tisha says she already told Al where Gannon is. I don't know where he is. Quincy Brown took him. F Quincy Brown. Don't ever say that name again to me because it's bullshit. Eduardo is bullshit. The carpet guy is bullshit. Tisha says, your dumb ass won't go after him. Al is yelling at her for lying. She says he doesn't know what he's talking about. Al wants to know how the guy could have messaged her if she didn't tell him her information. Tisha says, oh, okay, so he wasn't outside the hotel? Yeah, I don't get that either. I can't understand her. Al says, to tell them it's him in Landon. They have all his stuff. He doesn't care. Al, I'm getting messages. Ooh, so mysterious. Tisha says she called into the FBI. He doesn't believe her that she called the FBI. I tried to help y'all, she said. This is why I didn't tell y'all from the beginning. Al says, yeah, because you knew I wouldn't believe it because it's bullshit. Letecia says, I'll send you his picture. Al says, send that shit to me. Send me Quincy Brown. Tisha said he followed her at Walmart. She says she sent him the picture of a dark-skinned Mexican. I hear whispering on Al's side of the call. Al asks her how she got a picture of this Quincy Brown. That is who he is, she says. Al says, screenshot your Google search. And it also says a Mexican named Quincy. Letecia says Al is a dumbass, and I think tells him he needs some balls and calls him a punk. You can do and say whatever you want to say to me, he says. Letecia says she doesn't know where Quincy is, but his best friends, he has best friends in the police department, can find him. Yeah. So basically she's throwing it at Al, saying, well, let your cop friends go find him. Yeah. Let's not worry about Gannon. Let's worry about fighting over some crappy story you're adding into the mix here, Tisha. Where's my son, Tisha? This is the same conversation we had for 2 weeks about the $8,000 you took from me. She calls him a dumbass again and says Quincy has Gannon. Do you know him? Effing go find him, she says. I googled that shit and it's a mugshot like I found Mike Hyatt on. Congratulations, you found a mugshot, he says. Al says, when they find him, you better go to Steppen. Get to Steppen, I hear whispering on his end. Al says, how would they know they're looking in the wrong place? She says, it's the wrong tree, and calls him a dumbass again. Dumbass, he has him in Colorado Springs, she says. You just effing told on yourself, Al says. I don't know where Gannon's at, she says. You can curse me out, F all the bitches you want, because I don't care about you, she says. Well, that's a string of truth, because she doesn't care about anyone but Letecia. Let's see. That candle video, that was bullshit. That's the same thing you tried to do to me and that you did it to my son. That was horrible. You should go to jail just for that. That's abuse and you know it. And I heard you make him cry, too. Where's my son? He says this is the same thing that he's been going through for 5 years. Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't leave her early enough. And I know he's already stated that he's something he's going to be thinking about for the rest of his life. Sorry, but I didn't want to get killed, she says. So you let Gannon get killed? He asks. She said that's why she didn't talk from the beginning. He tells her she better buckle in. She says he's going to be waiting a long time. She says she's in Colorado Springs. He tells her, send me your location right now. He's fed up. Yeah, he's definitely fed up by this call. This gap between us ain't getting no closer because you won't tell me where my son is. So I'm done. You got anything else to say before I hang up on you? Good. Don't email me. Don't message me. Don't use my name in the media. Don't say shit about me until you tell me where my son is. Yeah, Al was really standing up for himself on that one. Unfortunately, he didn't get anywhere in getting any answers still. And now Al is back on the stand. Al is saying the same thing you did to me in the candle video is manipulating situations. So the DA was asking what he meant by that. He explained that the way Letecia manipulated him, in that video he saw the way she was talking to him really started to come clear how the way that she treats him and how he was manipulated by Letecia for all these years. T sent him a text message with a photo of a mugshot, claiming it was this Quincy Brown. Al found it on a Google search site, a wanted sex offender from Colorado Springs. Al didn't know where she was during that call, but he didn't think she was in Colorado Springs. There was only one personality in that call again, so that was also asked again. Exhibit 40, which is February 14th, 2020 at night, 16-minute recorded call. I heard peanut butter sandwich, and I ate mine too, but I don't know who that was. I think that was from the agents, but... Are you still alive? Letecia says to Al. Al said this is her chance to say what she's gotta say. What's that noise, she asks. He tells her it's his water bottle. Letecia, do you love me? Al, yes. He'll say anything, obviously, to get Gannon back, and I would, too. Letecia, if you know it's an accident, will you stand by me? Al, yes. Letecia, I'm sorry for all the stories. I didn't know what to do. She's crying. I think she's saying she did pick up a bike, and it was too big, but she let Gannon ride it, and he got hurt. Bad. When he fell, he got hurt because there were hills and stuff. The guy was helping him ride the bike. I don't know how bad it was. He was bleeding from his arms, his knees, his head. Yeah, this is another story that she had. The amount of stories she has, it just seemed never ending. He promised he was going to go back to his house and get bandages and call 911 because we accidentally left our phone at Petco. I swear to God, Quincy's real. What happened, baby? Al says, super softly and earning himself an Oscar. Yeah, he was really trying to keep himself calm on this call. I was scared he didn't come back with him. I thought I would go back and keep searching. I spent the whole night. I didn't want you to hate me. Al, why would I hate you? He says it's hard to hear, but he needs her to tell him again. She's yelling and crying. He says, I believe you now. Thank you for telling me the truth. This means the world to me. She says it might be exit 163. It was on her phone. Al, can you think of a landmark? Help me find him, babe. Just help me. She said this is the only reason she asked for immunity. She was trying to figure out why he took him. He needed help because the bike was too big. She's been driving, trying to find the guy, and that's why the GPS and car show what they do. She told police, and they said, yeah, 'cause he's wanted. If you know where he is, let us know. They didn't try to help her. Before I let him do anything, I made him show me his ID because I was trying to make sure. She's crying at this point, and you can hear whispering on Al's end. Letecia, listen to me now, please. Please. She's gotten nervous because he had a tour bike and was trying to sell it. She realized she left her phone at Petco. Gannon talked with him and high-fived him, so she assumed he was a nice guy, and he helped him get on the bike to ride it. Asked him if he thought his daddy would like the bike. He slid with Gannon and the bike and slid down, and he hit his head. She ran over and was trying to help. She didn't have her phone. He said he lived right there and would take him to his house and call 911. I'm so sick of crying and crying. That's why I've been adamant about you finding this dude. And then we can hear more whispering on Al's end. He asks again the location and how Gannon was hurt and mentioned his burns. There were no bad burns, Albert. They were just bubbles from the fire. She repeats all the same about him not being in pain, and she would have taken him in, I guess, to the hospital. Says he was bleeding pretty bad. Blood was dripping down his face. All right, now Al is back on the stand. Al thinks she was really crying during that call, but he was just trying to keep her talking. I think she was potentially getting maybe a little bit scared at that point, but I don't know. With her, it's hard to tell. Again, she had one personality, her normal personality during that call, and this was the first time she said Gannon had any kind of head injury. And Letecia said she used her clothes to stop the bleeding on Gannon's head, but none of her clothes were bloody when he got home from Oklahoma. Exhibit 49 is a book of text messages between Al and Letecia between February 29th to March 1st. I think those are the dates, okay. Exhibit 206 is being looked at, but it will be entered later with a different witness. Pre-qualification of his end of the text messages. It is communications between Al and Harley's phone. Total time spent with Letecia was roughly 6 years, from starting to date each other to Gannon's disappearance. He had plenty of opportunity to observe mental condition, and he did not see anything more than regular indiscrepancies and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, in other words, nothing that said that she was like bipolar, had some kind of mental breakdowns, none of that sort of stuff. All right, and then we go to part 8. She could tell the difference between right and wrong, even before the murder. She took the kids hiking and made it there and back safely and didn't get any tickets, obeyed all laws. She asked about the switch and how they disciplined Gannon. She pressed him about what was right and what was wrong in their relationship. Letecia says she didn't put Lana back in the house when she got back from school, and he doesn't know why she wouldn't have had any other than something going on she didn't want Lana to see. Yeah, this is the point, I believe, when she was starting to cover up Sally Gannon killing Gannon. They lived together in South Carolina and Colorado and spent time in Alaska. She followed the law in all those places. She planned and organized all trips and vacations and could get them to the port for cruises and airports for flights on time. The typical source of punishment was to take away the iPad, switch, or TV time. Letecia was meticulous about the kids' schedule, with repercussions if they didn't follow the prescribed schedule on a daily basis. Al had no concerns for that her mental health was cracking. He would have canceled his training and would not have left the house or the kids there if he had any concerns that she had showed any signs of a crack in her mental health. So yeah, he would never have gone to that training if he thought something was wrong with Tisha. She had no severe mental illnesses while they were together. On January 27th, 2020, Al tried to call Letecia multiple times in the afternoon, and she did not answer. She didn't reply to text messages either. They eventually talked about him buying new headphones in an appropriate price range. The same time frame of her not answering was the same time she would have let Lana she would have let Lana inside. Al's opinion of her sanity during their whole relationship is that she was 100% sane, even on January 27th, 2020. All right, now they go to lunch, and then we go to cross-examination, part 1 for Al Stauch. They met in 2014 while Al was going through a divorce. He was in the military at the time, and he played softball for fun. In spring and summer 2014, it progressed to dating when Landon had the majority of the custody of the kids. Al had every Wednesday night and every other weekend while in the Myrtle Beach area. They were married in January of 2015. Al ended up filing for custody of the kids because he had concerns that there was criminal activity going on in the house and concerns about Mike Hyatt. So I guess that had to do with Landon's relationship at the time. Al thought his home with Letecia would be a safer environment for the kids. In fall 2018, Letecia didn't want to move to Alaska, and the kids stayed with her for a few months. Defense says Al says he started taking Gannon to counseling as soon as he got custody, primarily due to the custody issue. Shows him a transcript of the phone call. So yeah, that's, I guess, the time when they started doing the counseling, which, of course, she should have been in the counseling, not the kids. Letecia did not like Alaska. It seemed like Letecia and Gannon had a good relationship and that he loved her. He definitely had a love and trust in his heart for her. Yeah, that's really sad. He trusted her, and she manipulated him, beat him up, and killed him. I mean, come on. That's just horrible. Defense Exhibit B is a Mother's Day card Gannon made for Letecia in 2018. Al can't tell if it was Gannon's handwriting. He hasn't seen it in 3 years. Al doesn't even remember Letecia being a big Kobe fan, more Yankees than Derek Jeter. See, that was to ask about the fact that she was all upset about Kobe dying in that plane crash. Defense Exhibit A is an Instagram photo Letecia posted from her hike with Gannon and Lana. So that was the photo, probably the last photo ever taken of him besides the one in the bed of Gannon. Al's mom is a mental health professional. He spoke to her about Letecia's mental health. Defense says Al's mom thought she needed to be on medication. Keeping him home from school was abnormal, but it was acceptable if he was having a stomach issue or embarrassment. Incontinence wasn't a regular worry of his, but giving him Miralax for constipation was a common thing. Letecia told him about the candle and carpet on January 27th. Gannon was concerned he was going to be grounded for a year. He received messages from Gannon's phone but never spoke to him directly about it. When he got back from Oklahoma, some things didn't make sense, but he initially thought they were on the same page trying to find Gannon. Al never had a thought that Landon was involved at all. He also doesn't think he ever suspected Mike Hyatt, her then husband. So yeah, he never thought anything about Landon or her now ex-husband. And he trusted Letecia at that time. On Wednesday, the 27th, she left and only came back to get her belongings. Defense is trying to clarify when the phone calls were even though they were dated in the exhibits. Asks Al how much of a gap there was between the calls. Al said the prosecution had that covered even if he doesn't know. That was a grueling time period in my life to have to sit there and try to keep my cool. I can't attest to that. Yeah. He had to sit there and act on a lot of those calls and told her that he loved her, and he was realizing that she'd done something to Gannon, and he had nothing but, I'm sure, hate. He just wanted the answers, and he knew she was lying, and I'm sure it's got to be hard to talk to her. Defense says Al gets more and more frustrated with Letecia on February 14th. Yeah, that was the one call they really had it out. Defense says her goal wasn't to seem crazy. Al says he won't speak to her goal or her intentions. Letecia told Al she only has part of the information. She has to play it in her head over and over again, and when she woke up out of the state of confusion she was in. She was going crazy, and it was all a blur. Defense says she said Tisha doesn't know where Gannon is. Al told investigators she could be great with the kids, but could have weeks that she didn't want anything to do with them. Sometimes she would be all in doing homework, cooking, teaching, and there were other times they'd be left to fend for themselves. Sometimes Landon and Letecia would work together like they were out trying to get him, and other times they were at each other's throats. Al didn't know where Letecia got the money for her spontaneous trips. Al knew something about one of Letecia's stepfathers. He doesn't remember a pattern of abuse, just some isolated events in that Letecia moved out of that house and into her grandparents' house. I suppose that's referencing the defense's allegation that she was abused as a child. Defense says Letecia had issues maintaining steady employment. Al says it's a misrepresentation because she intentionally left her jobs. Late fall of 2019, she was having mental health issues and seeing a doctor. Al went to the facility with her for one visit but stayed in the lobby. For most of their relationship, Letecia was prescribed lorazepam. Al says he doesn't know if it was most of their relationship, but she saw someone for anxiety. Al says he's unaware that the doctor told Tisha to leave her job due to mental health issues. Defense says Al told the detective that Harley said her mom is freaking nuts. Crazy. Alright, then there's redirect by the state. Tisha knew how to use techniques and strategies in playing and coaching softball. Part of how she knew right and wrong. So, great examples of how she's totally clear with things. She knows right from wrong. She knows technique, strategies. So yeah, again, they're trying to prove that she's not crazy, she's not insane. If Letecia had severe mental disease or defect, Al absolutely would not have felt she was a safer environment for the kids. She did not have one that he knew of. He delivered a toothbrush and some clothing of Gannon's to investigators for DNA purposes. Al was interviewed on Tuesday, January 28th, multiple times. He says at least 3. State help with the counseling timeline proves Gannon couldn't have seen the doctor he saw if it had been before they got to Colorado. So he only started seeing, I guess, the mental health doctor, psychologist in Colorado. Al is not a medical professional, but believed Letecia has anxiety. She's got more than that. State asks if she could make a Denver omelet. Yes. If she ever ran in the street naked. No. Al says he didn't care about miles on his car. All that mattered was finding Gannon. So that's the whole thing with she didn't want to put miles on the Tiguan. And he's like, I don't care. It's leased. We're just trying to find the kid. I mean, so, yeah. That was obviously an excuse to not have him in the Tiguan. Letecia called Al and texted him from different phone numbers and emails from her iCloud. Blood was found in the garage. There was blood and DNA found. I believe that was Palmer Lake. I think that was where they thought the suitcase initially was. Al says their relationship was like riding a roller coaster. He thinks it's the normal ebb and flow in relationships. Her manipulation was part of the extreme lows in their relationship, which were common. Letecia referred to herself as Taylor. Her Facebook and Tisha Taylor Harden when they met. Her middle name is Lynn. She always wanted her middle name to be Taylor. She didn't like Lynn. That's what he figured she wanted her name to be. She never used the name Taylor with a different personality or a different voice or language. She seemed fine at work, but would leave her job. Letecia told Al multiple times not to talk to the police. And the jury had no questions for Al. Yeah, this judge is allowing the jury to ask questions, which is really, really interesting. So that's the end of the Al Stauch testimony. And I hope I was a little clearer on this one. The other ones, I felt like I was a bit, but all the notes kind of got me everywhere. Like I said, it's hard to notate and the fact that someone was able to put down notes is pretty amazing for sure. Especially on listening to those phone calls. Doing actual testimony in court is not so bad, but having to take notes and try to get any quotes from those phone calls, now that is a challenge. So what do you guys think of all of Al Stauch's testimony? Again, I'll put the link up if you guys do want to check out the actual videos of the trial. They're still up. Multiple law and crime and multiple other YouTube channels have them. If you want to hear the calls between Tisha and Al, just be aware they're hard to listen to because of her constant crying and screaming and she's just it's crazy. So, but yep. All right. So this is the end again of Al Stauch. I'm going to close this video out, and I will do one more video before next week to get all the other witnesses all caught up, and that way we'll be all set to go on Monday. So for a whole new week of testimony and evidence in getting justice for Gannon. Thanks guys for checking out the channel. I really do appreciate it. If you'd hit that like button for me if you haven't already, it does help the video get out there to more folks. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would really love it if you would. I love all my subscribers. You guys are awesome. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Alright guys, have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.